points we're going to cover are going to be the leg points. The leg point's main use is to either turn his body to spin him around or to drop a taller person down to your height. So if you were dealing with a very tall person, instead of reaching up, you come to a leg point, you bring them down a little bit lower. There's also a special relationship that exists between this arm and this leg. By locking any point on this arm, the opposite leg becomes very sensitive, which we'll show a little bit later. First two leg points we're going to cover are going to be in the same area of the leg, but different sides. If one has the leg bent 50% of the way between the hip and the knee, so we go halfway, and 50% of the way around, inside and outside, are the 2 points we're going to use. The inside point is called spleen 11. Between the muscles on the inside, if you feel it on yourself, you'll feel a little hole there. And the outside point, if you stay at attention where your middle finger touches, is called gallbladder 31. Both points will cause a Charlie horse in the leg, cause the person to drop. Generally, the inside points can be used with the knee or with the ball of the foot or the heel. The outside point must be struck with the knee or the heel. The reason for that is the muscles on the outside of the leg, much stronger, much more dense. If you were to use a roundhouse kick like in kickboxing or a ball of the foot kick, it would probably bounce off somebody who has a conditioned leg. You need more follow through. So a side kicking motion or a knee strike, perfect for the outside. For the inside, you can use the ball of the foot, the heel, or the knee. So we're going to start him in a front stance just so we can see where the point is. We have his knee here, we have his hip here. We're going to go 50% of the way in and move to the inside. And with one finger pressure, we're already getting his body to move. Okay, we're going to show the spleen 11 point, the inside of the thigh. As he grabs, one leg will be in the front of the other. If this leg is in the front, we're going to attack it this way. If the other leg was in the front, we would attack it that way. This way everybody can see we're going to use this leg, and as light as we possibly can, we're going to bump it, and you can see his body reaction. Any more power, he's going to drop to the ground. What you saw is he let go of the technique, and if I held on to his arm as I did it, I would retain control to follow up with another shot. Generally, the inside points are used when the person is in front of you, grasping you, where you're lined up. If a punch was coming in, and we're going to turn it in a minute, we would be using the outside point, the one where the middle finger touches. So if he's punching with his left, and we get to the outside, we can't access the inside, but this one here is going to put him right down. And you can see, even though he's shorter than me now, if he was taller, it brings him right down to his knee. Another advantage of that point is for the next 10 minutes or so, he's going to be doing this, which means he's not going to be very effective as far as footwork and moving around. Okay, the next point we're going to be using is on the back of the calf. It's actually 3 points in one. The point names are called bladder 56, 57, 58. If you look at the way his calf is shaped, the 3 points are in a straight line, right at the bend of the knee, dead center, and right where the muscle comes down. The one that we do most of the work with is the one up here. With thumb pressure, we could actually just bring him down. Now, the way we use this point is in combination with the arm points. Very rarely in a self-defense situation are you going to find yourself behind. But if he was facing me and he grabbed and we brought him in close using one of the other points, now I'm behind him enough to put him down on that calf point. So generally when we attack the arm to turn him either with the right or the left, his body shifts. When you do it harder, the weight comes on, you see the leg buckling, and that allows you to bring him down and follow up this way. The last point on the foot is one that's very important from rear attack. Somebody grabs you from behind this way, or they choke you from behind. One of the main defenses is to stomp. Most styles of karate or self-defense teach you to stomp on the instep. The instep is one of the strongest bones in the body. I don't think it's even possible to break it. So really what you're doing is you're stomping on a very unsensitive surface. Where we aim our stomp is between his pinky and the next toe, just like the one on the hand. Where the foot makes a little turn, you can just press and control him there. So using just, turn a little bit this way, just very light toe pressure, we can pretty much control his body. When we use it, it would be stomping, and he would drop or at the very least let go of what you were doing. This point's also used with footwork. If a punch is coming in, a lot of times we'll step in and tread on the point to follow up with other shots. So if you do a form of martial arts that involves a cross stance or cross stepping, that's a good spot for you to put your foot there. Okay, when we practice again, we use, just like we use our thumb pressure, we use our toe pressure to find the point. Obviously outside he's going to be wearing shoes or boots on, and you're not going to be able to access it in that manner. But by using a stomping motion, whether he has shoes on or not, unless they're steel tipped, you're still going to get the same effect, whether he's grabbing you from behind or from the front. So real situation, stomp. For practice, you don't want to do that to your partner because he's not going to like you anymore, so you use your toe. Or if you're going to use your heel, you place your heel on it and gradually add weight until you get that reaction and you release. Whenever you're working for pressure points, you're looking for a reaction. If I grab his arm and I do this, once I see that reaction, right, I'll do it one more time, I know I did it right. I don't always have to be throwing him to the ground or making his arm go numb. Later on when we cover the head and the body points, it's going to be similar. You'll strike a point and you'll see his eyes blink and he'll stumble a little bit. That means you're on the point. You don't necessarily have to knock everybody out when you practice because people are not going to want to practice with you if you do that. What you do is you make sure you're on the point, you control. Real situation, you use full power. Excellent method to train on is one of the bob dummies because you can hit it as much as you want. It's anatomically correct. You learn the proper angle and he won't get mad at you. Right? What we're going to combine now is the arm and the leg like I explained before. When he grabs with this arm, when you lock either with the eagle claw like we did before, or we grab one of the points, or we even hit a point, this leg becomes very sensitive. The main way we use to attack it is with our heel coming across. The reason for using the heel is it's harder than the other parts of the foot, and when you have shoes on, the toes tend to wiggle. So the heel is going to cut into the inside point. Now, when I strike this point, like we learned before, his body turns. If I kick that leg without using the arm, his body turns. All right, just keeping these bent a little so I don't hurt them. When you do them together, his body turns and he tends to drop. So whether he was going to punch you, grab you, whatever he was going to do, he's not doing it anymore. And it's a very quick move. I'm not going to do it again with power, but as soon as he's here, you just shoot up and extend out. So now if you were very weak and had no power at all, you're using a weak point of his arm and a pressure point to turn him, a weak point of his leg and a pressure point to turn him, and you're doing it at the same time, which tends to shock his system. He can't be prepared. He may know this is coming, but when he feels this, he can't resist in two places at once. Also, if you notice, this arm is completely free, so as soon as you hit, this is here to finish him right away. So before he finishes moving, your technique should be done. He should be on the ground. The last point that we didn't cover, all right, we're going to roll his pant up again. Between his ankle bone and where his calf muscle comes to an end, halfway between these 2 points, behind the shin bone, you press it and he feels it, but this is not how we use it. We generally use it with a scooping motion. And this is one that's much more effective with shoes on. He grabs, let's just use one so they can see it, whichever foot's in front, you're going to scoop. And it makes his leg do that, which very nicely, we'll do it slow, once he moves it, very nicely sets him up for the other side and brings him down to size again. This can also be used in a situation if you brought him down and you've stepped in and you could actually use the heel to kick it out that way to bring him down. Again, when you're using the shoe, the hard edge of the shoe is your striking point. When you're not using the shoe, you want to use the heel area and just let it kick in. It's very little quicker than if his leg is here and you move that way. It's a very fast move. So he's grabbing, he's looking at you, you're watching this arm, you come here, he thinks about that, you go somewhere else. Generally in a fight, person's going to be looking at your eyes, looking at your shoulders, looking at your arms. If you try to throw a nice high kick, it's going to look good, but he's going to see your whole body react. When you throw one of these kicks, your upper body doesn't move at all. So if he's looking at you, he's not going to see it, he's just going to feel it, and you're going to follow up there. So when his mind shifts down there, number one, you're weakening his system, you're weakening the other points, but number two, you're shifting his focus to his legs, and then you're going to come back up. What we're going to do now is we're going to go back to those first arm points that we used, but this time we have John fitted with special protective forearm guards. Same ones used in competition to protect the bone so you don't get bruises. Purpose of that, number one, is so that he allows me to finish what I'm doing because it's starting to hurt. But the main reason is this way we can show that the points work even through a winter coat or through padding. An example would be the hit point that we use. Now it's going to be hard for you to see, but everybody remembers it's the one halfway. With practice, you will know that it's halfway and you won't have to roll his sleeve up, and that's where the training comes in. I've done that, so I'm just going to show you. He lets go. Right? He grabs on the other side, we catch it from another angle, same thing. He lets go. And remember, I'm still using the soft part. Now that he has this, I can put the knuckles in, and it works even better. What we're going to have him do is grab different spots. Basically, there's only so many ways somebody can grab you. They could grab your arm, your elbow, your shoulder. They could do it on the other side. They could double grab. They can choke you. That pretty much covers most of the grabs. All of those grabs, most of the time, are going to start with an arm point and then follow up with a head, neck, or body point, or maybe even a leg point. So as he grabs, he's just going to grab at random. We're going to use different points to get out. Doesn't matter which one we use, and you're going to see you just get a good reaction. Two arms, we can either focus on one or we can focus on both of them to set him up for the next point. Now, keep in mind, even with the pads, I'm not hitting very hard, and he has padding. Without the padding, the reaction would be much more severe. So a general principle to try and follow is when he grabs you and you have an arm, strike the arm point. Instead of trying to travel all the way up here, which he expects, strike an arm point. You disrupt his balance, you disrupt his thinking, you set him up for the next shot. If you strike an arm point and then he punches you, you're here to finish him off. You know this punch is coming, so you keep your eyes on that arm. You know when you strike this arm, that this arm is done at least for a few seconds. The only thing that's going to get you is that one. Just be prepared for it as you come in. And when you strike it for real and you're here, he's not coming up with that arm. This is going to be there first. So general rule, start with the arm points, work your way in through the body. As we go through the next series of videos, you're going to be learning more about the head and the neck points and the torso points. You're also going to be learning certain self-defense techniques. You're going to see the common thread is we generally look to go for the arm first, then either to the torso or the head or neck. Leg points tend to come in depending on his balance. Like we said before, if we bring him down and his knee bends or I see an opening, the leg point is there. If I don't use the leg point. The primary thing to learn to be good at pressure point fighting is learning the arm points. Right now we're covering stand-up, and we're not even covering punching or kicking yet, which we will get to. When we start adding punches, let's say he throws a hook in, we're striking arm points to set up the next blow. If we're doing ground fighting and he's choking us, we're using an arm point to either set him up for a strike or a follow-up block. So if you're very good at the arm points, you'll be very good at pressure point fighting. If you're always looking for the head or neck points, number one, they're not going to be as sensitive as they should be because they're not going to be set up properly. And number two, you're attacking what he expects you to attack. He expects the punches and the hits to come to this region. When he does something to you and you go somewhere else, it sends a shock through him where mentally, you're not just physically defeating him, mentally, you're making him not know what's happening. When somebody attacks you in the street, generally it's not the first time they've done it. They have experience, and through experience, they know what's going to happen. They know they're going to punch, you're going to put your hands up, you're going to get hit, you're going to fall down. anything that's done to change that order is going to mentally pause your opponent. So you're freezing him mentally. And while he's in that little indecision in his mind, that's your opportunity to follow up with your strikes. So we're going to be demonstrating one of our instant knockout shots. Where we're going to be targeting is the stomach 9 point and the side of the neck. And what we're going to be using is our forearm. The reason for using the forearm is with little training, the swing of the forearm is a very powerful blow, and it doesn't have to be as focused as, let's say, using the edge of the hand or even the fingers or a punching technique. With this motion, this could come after blocking a punch, this could come off of a grabbing. For his safety, we're just going to demonstrate it off him grabbing. This way, we minimize the motion and nobody gets injured. So we're going to have John grab nice and tight. We're going to focus on this point. We're going to use the forearm, and we're going to bring him right down. All right, once we maintain grappling position, both arms are in position to strike him. So rather than bringing him to the ground with a throw, we're actually going to do a knockout technique involving the area around the temple, which are some points that we haven't really covered. We're going to slap. We have the temple, the corner of the eye, and the bridge of the eyebrow, which forms a nice big circle that's just going to get slapped. And on the other side, we're going to use the ridge hand to strike all bladder 20. From grappling position, as we're searching for a move, this hand is free to strike here. This hand is free to strike here. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock up, we're going to bring him down, and we're going to show the basic knockout, and he's going to drop. Okay, the last point on the shoulder region is exactly at the apex of the trapezius muscle. So basically, we divide his neck and his shoulder in half this way, and we divide it in half this way. And this is where we're going. And we can actually press it and get some effect. Because this is a big muscle, the muscle actually protects and the point lies underneath it. So generally, we want to strike it inward this way or using our forearm. If he was coming forward, like to shoot to do the takedown, we would actually use our forearms on this point to stop him. Because of the angle, we may not knock him out, but what we'll do is stop his motion, which will allow us to set up something else. What we're going to do is just show this point the effect of it. We're going to have him throw a punch, we're going to block it, and we're just going to put some downward pressure. And the thing to watch for is his legs. Watch where his legs go. So as he comes in, we come down, and we drop him down. Okay, as previously explained, the more pressure points you hit, the more damage that you do. So if he were to grab me in a real situation, I would be using one of the arm points, one of the body points, or one of the leg points before I came to the jaw point. What that would do is it would make it actually weaker. But what I want to actually just show you is how, with no setup at all, this one point becomes very sensitive. So as he grabs, we're just going to come from this position. I'm going to go slow so I don't injure him. We're going to come up in the up and out direction. I'm going to have him bite down real tight so he doesn't hurt his teeth. All right, so I'm going to look straight. He's grabbing. We're not going to use a setup. We're going to come in, and it's going to bring him down. We sit him up. We have a special revival that we use to wake him back up a little. All right.
At this point, I like to go over the proper revival techniques. The purpose of the revival techniques is to wake your partner up if you do a knockout, but most importantly, it's to make sure that it doesn't have any adverse effects. What can generally happen if you knock somebody out, they will wake up on their own, they won't just stay asleep forever. But when they wake up, they're going to have headaches, their stomach's going to hurt, they're just going to feel almost like they have a hangover. With the proper revival, you're restoring energy, basically you took away with the strike, and you eliminate that effect. The first type of revival is what we call arm revival, basically any of the arm points that we strike. When you strike it, what we're going to do is we're going to actually stop energy to that point, so we hit it, the arm goes to sleep. Now, he's feeling a pulsing right now, that hurts. The way we wake it up is we hit the exact same point with an open palm, with approximately half the power, with a slap. And then we massage the area. And we repeat that. Slap, and massage it. And after you do that, you should have full use of his hand again. So the arm revival is basically simple. Whatever you hit it again. But you hit it with half the force, and instead of hitting it with a focused area, we hit it with a flat palm, and we just massage the area. Flat palm, massage the area. And that'll bring your partner's arm back. This way when you're training, you hit those points, you can practice it more than once. As far as the head, the neck, the body, you do a technique like we did, we strike, he falls down. Alright, he'll tend to just be laying down basically. The first thing we want to do is we want to sit him up. So we grab him by the head. Okay, now if he's really out, he won't fold his own legs, so you're going to fold his legs. We want to keep our knee in the base of his spine. We want to keep our hand on his head. Now if we struck him on this side, we want to revive on this side. If we struck him on this side, we revive on this side. Where we're going to be reviving is right next to the spinal cord. This one called the bladder meridian. I'm going to show it myself actually. Not over here, a little bit over, right in this line. This is called the wake-up nerve. Similar to the arm points, we're going to slap it and massage. Slap it and massage. At this point, he should be awake. He may still feel groggy, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our thumb and forefinger. We're going to place it at the base of his back with the spine running in the center, and we're going to run our hand up the spine a couple of times. In Chinese medicine, they say all energy in the body is stored in the kidney region. And when you do this, according to the theory, you're bringing the energy back up into the head. Medically, most likely, you're just stimulating the nerves that go into the neck and head area, and it's waking him up. But either way, the function is what matters, not what causes it. After you finish that, to restore more energy, we're going to start with the hands. Again, in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, each finger controls a different part of the body. So, for example, the pinky finger is considered the heart, the ring finger is considered what they call the pericardium, the index finger is the large intestine. So what you're going to do is you're going to pinch, starting at the pinky finger, and pull. Pinch, pull. You should feel like a popping sensation. If anybody ever got a Chinese massage before, this is what they do. They massage the points, they pop the fingers, and what that does is it wakes up and stimulates all of the nerves. And that covers the revivals. Okay, remember that due to the effectiveness of pressure point training, there's certain danger involved in the practice. One should always practice under a qualified instructor.